So we're going to be talking about a day in our family's homeschooling, work at home kind of life. And you'll notice a few things as I talk through this. I have some general scheduling rules that work well for me. They're kind of like how my brain works, and it just took years of just playing around with schedules and different planners and all this kind of stuff to just recognize some things that are true about me. And it took living 40 years to like accept that these things are true about me and not try to change them or be what I think I should be or schedule things the way I think I should schedule them or accomplish all that I think I should, but rather just this is what works for my family and works for me and keeps the peace in my heart and my mind and in my home. And so this is what we do in the way that I do it. And obviously that caveat means that this is not the way that you have to do it or the way that your mind might work best. This might be, organized chaos to some of you, and you think this is like crazy. Some of you might be like, I'm not nearly that organized. And so we all just have different perceptions. And so the reason I'm sharing this is because I want it to hopefully inspire. I love to see someone else's day. I love to see how they manage their time. And whenever I watch someone talk through or walk through their day, like an Instagram story, it always helps me to think about a couple of new ways that I could do some stuff, right? So I use it as inspiration, but I don't feel like I'm failing because I'm not getting as much done or whatever, because no two people's lives are the same, because we're not the same and our families aren't the same and all that kind of stuff. So here are a few rules that I want to let you know, like, this is how I function. And if you don't function this way, that's fine. So my schedules are super detailed. When I'm writing a schedule down, I schedule almost as an anti-anxiety medication, right? So when I look into like my week or my month, sometimes I get really overwhelmed with everything that I have to do. And I think to myself, there is no way that I can do all of this. But whenever I start to actually make a really detailed schedule so that I can make the most of my moments throughout the day, I recognize not only can I get everything done, but I usually have plenty of margin left. And that just helps me deal with feeling overwhelmed, like I've taken too much on. So I do really highly detail everything that's happening with each member of my family at any given time. When I'm planning a school year in advance, when I'm looking at everyone's, because I have teenagers as well, when I'm looking at co-op activities and sports and all these different things, I make a really large detailed spreadsheet that shows 30-minute increments in the day and has a column for every day in the week, and under each daily column there's a column for each person, or usually sets. So I have usually a column for my girls, a column for my boys, and a column for myself. And that just helps me by being super psycho specific. It helps me to see, okay, there's conflicts in the schedule. This is not going to work. There's too much going on this day, all that kind of stuff. So I make a really detailed schedule. But the second thing is that I see that as a guideline and not as the law. So even though I make a very detailed schedule, I never allow it to control me. Like, I'm still the boss of it. I can still just lay it aside and be like, we're not doing any of these things today and we're going to the zoo or whatever. I still allow myself to be sick or to be tired or to need to do whatever else might come up, because I assume that life will happen. And that was the third point that I made on my little outline here. Some days plans are just going to change. So I think it is possible, because I'm the kind of person that does it, to come up with a really detailed schedule that's like your best, most accurate assessment of like what you can do on your best day, because that's how I like to plan my life. But then I know that I am not always at my best, and so I frequently am going to need some flexibility in it. So I'm never married to it, and it's not rigid, and I don't feel controlled by it. And then the other thing to notice about us is, like, I work from home in the afternoons, and today is actually my husband's first day from he quit his full-time job that he's been at for 7 years, career that he's been in for, I guess, about 12 years now. We're both licensed insurance agents, and I stopped doing that to stay at home with our kids about 11 years ago. And he kept working and has been in that field since then. And he quit his job on Friday, and today was his first day. So you guys flooded the second quality sale that I have going on right now. And so he got all the orders from last week. Normally we ship on Sunday, but we took the weekend and had like some great time together. So he started shipping on a daily basis this morning. He'll ship at least 3 days a week. It's hunting season, so he may be hunting twice a week or so. But we'll still be shipping way more frequently than we normally would. And when it gets to crazy season, he'll be shipping every day. So there were a ton of orders from this weekend that will be going out tomorrow, if you're wondering when your order is going to ship. Anyway, so some parts of this schedule are like brand spanking new, like we are living them for the first time right now. But what I did was take what already works for us, and we took the pieces that he could take off of my plate to give me more consistent, less guilt-ridden time to work, and he's doing those things right now. And so I don't imagine that it's not going to work, because it pretty much, that's, why we're doing what we're doing. So anyway, I want to talk through this, but it's important to note that our kids are 17, 15, 6, and newly 5. So my oldest daughter is technically a senior, but she's only doing half of her senior year this year, and she'll do the other half next year. Because she would be a young senior and we just aren't ready to graduate yet, and so that's what we're doing. She's doing a lot of dual enrollment over the next 2 years. It gives her more time to get, when she graduates high school as a senior, she will also be entering college as a sophomore. So she's not losing a year of college. Not that you asked, but just to explain that. And then a 15-year-old who is a freshman, and then the 6-year-old's in kindergarten, the 5-year-old is preschool. So those are the ages I'm working with, and I want you to keep those ages in mind, because a lot of you guys are moms to young children. You only have young children, not all of you, but many of you. And a lot of times I get like, how do you do this? When do you do this? And like, I have teenagers, and they're girls. Like, the Lord has blessed me abundantly. They can take care of my boys, almost as well as I can, and sometimes better than me, and sometimes not so much. But anyway, they do a great job with their brothers to help out, and they also do the dishes and help with laundry and take out garbage and clean floors and all that kind of stuff. So we'll talk more about chores in just a minute, but that I'm not doing a full homemaker's job by myself. There are 3 of us that really keep the home, plus my husband and the boys. Everybody has chores. So let's talk about my ideal schedule. That my morning time of this happens perfectly 50% of the time, and it happens mostly 70% of the time. And then that little bit that's left over is just when I totally sleep in and none of this gets done and life just happens, and that's just how it is. So I like to get up around 6 a.m. I go ahead and do prayers and journaling, my Bible reading plan, and I have a Sacred Ordinary Days planner that I want to talk about how I'm using that next month, I think. But how I'm using that right now quickly is that I use it for intentional discipleship and love touches for my family. So it's a very simple planner that has like 3 little things in a day and some little notes, and it has some liturgical readings and stuff. And I got it for the liturgical readings. It actually doesn't sync with other liturgical readings, so I really am not even using it for why I got it. I'm just using the Common Lectionary now. But outside of that, I write in there at the beginning of the week some things that my family members each need to know. So if there's something that I feel like my daughter needs to know or my husband needs to know that is either true of them or is true of our relationship or is true of their relationship with the Lord, then I write that down, and then during the week I pick one person to focus on each day in a special way. So I either intentionally speak words, life-giving words into them, or I make some time for them, or I send them a text message, or just whatever the thing is. So I make a note of that in the morning so I can be intentional about it throughout the day. And then my top 3 priorities for the day. So a home priority, a school priority, and a work priority. That way I know if I can get those 3 things done, then we've had a good day. So that's like the first 45 minutes of the day is Bible, journaling, and just getting my heart and my mind set for what's ahead. And then about 6:45, hop in the shower, probably not every day. I don't take a shower every day. But then I'll go through the house and straighten up. I'm not one of those people that cleans up before they go to bed at night. I would rather just wake up to a mess and straighten up in the morning. I'm always really tired at nighttime, so I don't do that. But I just straighten up in the morning. Something has happened to Instagram. You back? Okay. And then I throw a load of laundry into the washer. So my laundry schedule is that I put a load into the washer in the morning, I put it into the dryer at some point, and then the next morning it gets pulled back out, piled into a giant pile in our laundry room, and at some point during the week, one of my younger daughter will do laundry and my boys will help do laundry. So I do not have a wonderful clutter-free laundry system. My laundry room is always full of laundry, but most of it's clean. So that's always my goal. And then sometimes, like maybe twice a week, I do a 15-minute workout video. I usually eat breakfast, which is the same for me. I'm like working on losing weight, but my breakfast will not change. I drink part of a soda stream and eat a Fit Crunch bar every morning. That's not ever changing. And then, so during this time that I've done my Bible journaling, I've gotten a shower, I've done prayers, I've eaten breakfast, I've done a little bit of a workout. My boys have made their way out of their rooms, and we are a convenience food breakfast people. We're not too bad on convenience food the rest of the time, but when you live a very busy lifestyle, you can't, there are people that I've seen on Instagram do everything perfectly. I am not that person. So my boys eat a Cliff Bar and they watch TV or they play. So we just started back to school from our winter break today, and so the boys, we had to reestablish that we're doing school. You do not get up in the morning and turn on the TV. You need to play because we don't want to rot our brains before we do school. So, but they eat Cliff Bars or whatever, and my husband eats Cliff Bars, and my girls fix their own breakfast. So if you're, I don't always look at people's schedules and I think, well, she is, she cooks her kids 3 meals a day and they're all healthy, whole foods, and all this kind of stuff. And it's so easy to start comparing, but then I think, well, she does not run a full-time business that at the same time that she's doing those things. We all kind of pick where we spend our time, and so I'm not the person that you're going to look to for super balanced healthy eating. We work on it all the time, and I have all the knowledge in the world. I just don't always have time for it or the energy for it. So around this time, it's probably at this point almost 8 o'clock, so I start the repeated wakings of my teenagers, which is where I have to go in there 2 or 3 times and sing in a really irritating voice to make them enraged with me so that they will get up for morning basket. So at about 8 o'clock, I've been walking into their room over and over again. I throw some meat of some sort in a sink in order for it to thaw out, or into a crock pot. And then I start setting up our schoolroom for our morning time. And so now it's 8:30 and it's time for us to start school. So we use, this is not going to be a surprise to you, we use Morning Virtues in our morning time. And I love it so much. And I'm not saying that I love it so much because I made it. I probably do love it so much because I knew what I wanted Morning Basket to be, because I needed it to be something that was inclusive of a high school senior and a preschooler at the same time. And there's not a lot of programs that can say that, but there are things in our families that there's no scripture that's too short or too long to memorize. There's no book. If it's a good book, I'm going to enjoy it, which means my 6-year-old's going to love it and my senior is going to love it. And those are the kind of books that we select. You're never too old or too young for artist and composer study. You're never too old or too young for affirmations, for singing hymns, for praying together, for learning new catechism, those types of things. So Morning Virtues is very applicable for our whole family. I don't use some portions of primer because we're using Morning Virtues, so I kind of have to pick and choose there. But we all gather in the schoolroom. My teens are still 80% asleep, but they are present in the room. We do our pledges and sing our hymn and do all of Morning Virtues. This doesn't go perfectly. Probably 2 days out of the week, I have to send my 5-year-old to sit on his bed because he's being like rambunctious and stuff while we're trying to listen to this story and everything. And so I give him a couple chances, and if he can't sit still where he's not distracting everyone, then he has to go to his room. So that goes on for about 45 minutes is how long that takes us. So we get to 9:15, and my big girls start their chores for the day. Kind of. My oldest daughter has dishes, and she is my like slow motion kind of kid. She is not a morning person. She is a big time night owl. It's hard to get her to go to sleep at night, so she has a real hard time waking up in the morning. And so the last thing that she needs to do is like try to do school first thing. So I have her do the dishes chore the first thing, which obviously gets the dishes clean for the rest of the day, but it helps her physically move around and get woken up just a little bit more. She really hates it a lot, but that's just what we do anyway. My other daughter is very much a morning person, and she doesn't struggle with that at all. So she actually usually goes and does her school right off the bat because she wants to get it done so she can do what she wants to do the rest of the day. And my oldest daughter wants to procrastinate her schoolwork till the very end, and then get it done at 11 o'clock at night. And so if you don't have teenagers, you will one day, and that's just how it is. But they both have chores. Like I said, my oldest daughter, she takes care of her cat litter box, and she does the dishes. My younger daughter does garbage. She does laundry. She leaf blows the sidewalk. And she does a lot of random things because our older daughter has like the big dishes job. Then every time I have like a random like, hey, my chickens need water, that kind of stuff, then I send my younger daughter to do all those little bonus chores. My boys are usually having done their chores. Usually around 8, I'll be like, hey guys, go do your chores. So they have to pick up all the toys in their room, make up their bed, pick up all the toys that they've strewn out in the morning throughout the house, because our little iRobot thing is going to suck up everything while it's cleaning the floors. And then they take turns leaf blowing the patio in the back, and then they put their laundry away 2 days a week as well. So they have their chores. My chores are that I make sure everyone else does their chores, and I'm constantly, you know how it is, you're constantly putting things away. So even if you're just managing everyone else's chores, you're still really busy. And then during the 9:15 period of time, so moving away from chores, so at 9:15 we finish morning basket, girls go do their chores, boys have already done their chores, and so this is the time we do reading, math, handwriting first, because we've already done a lot of the beauty stuff with the girls, and so we need to get down to the meat. That way if anything goes awry, we have done reading and math for the day, and that works really, really well for us. And we use All About Reading. Both boys are in level 1 at different lessons right now. We use Kindergarten Math with Confidence, which we're about to end, and I already got first grade Math with Confidence ready to go. And the boys do their kindergarten morning binder, they do their memory work from primer, and they do handwriting without tears for some extra handwriting work. So that's all going to take us about 45 minutes. To get super specific, like I do math together with them, and then we do handwriting together, and then we do our morning binders together, and then I send my younger one, who has the most wiggles at that point, to just go play somewhere, and I do reading with my older son. Our reading lessons are super short, like his are probably about 10 minutes at this point. And then he goes off and plays, and my younger son comes, and his are about 5 minutes. And then they come back together, and we'll do the recitations together. And then our day kind of rotates. So we have a plan for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Monday is story day, so we read whatever our story is from the day for primer, and we read the ology related to our catechism that day. On Tuesday is On Mission, so I'll pick a section of On Mission that we're going to focus on. We'll read that from the magazine. We might read different books. If there's printable activities for that, it might be that we do an actual like recipe or just whatever. So that's our On Mission day. And we also read our Bible story. Wednesday is Science Day. So we do some of the stuff from General Classical Nature, but we've already done it 3 years in a row, so it's very brief for us. And then we do some of the science experiments from Sunlight's kindergarten science, because somebody gave it to me, and so it's a whole box of stuff. You don't have to plan, you just open it and do it, and that's fantastic. And then we read Everyday Graces for Manners and Hygiene that day as well. And the boys also do a nature class twice a month. Thursday we have co-op, so we leave actually early on Thursday when we do any of this. And then Friday is like a makeup day, so if we didn't read a story, we didn't get to a story activity. Monday we usually do an activity related to our story, from like the storybook soiree, from Rooted Childhood, or just whatever I've come up with. We might not get to that, or we may do a recipe from Radish Kids, because I gave my son a subscription to that for a few months for his birthday. So what we do after the morning core subjects kind of rotates each day, but it takes 30 to 45 minutes to read the story, read whatever the secondary thing is, and then do whatever the activity is. So at this point, once we've gotten done with whatever that is, like today we read Peter Rabbit and the ology, and the boys, like, this was our first day back from break, and they were actually just really wanting to get outside and play and didn't really want to do the activity I had planned, which was fine with me. So they just went outside and played. So about 10:30 they usually go outside to play, as long as the weather is, permissible. At this point it is. We've not had many winter days. And I take my first renewal of the day. So I want to do a whole video about these renewals, because I mentioned it in a day in the life that I did on Instagram a while back, and I've had a lot of messages about asking like what it is, how I do it, like all kinds of specifics. So I'm not going to get into specifics about it, but the renewals are that's what I named it, and it's kind of based off a concept from the Rule of Saint Benedict, and just an idea of making sure that throughout my day I have intentional times of prayer and intentional times of learning. And so I just decided that like 4 times throughout the day I would set aside 10 or 15 minutes. I would read from a specific themed book for that portion of the day, and I would say a specific prayer. So I just went ahead and wrote all the prayers. That way it's all very it's heartfelt, but it's not something I have to put a lot of planning into. So my first renewal in the morning around 10:30 is education focused. So I have an education focused prayer that I pray over our family and our home, and then right now I'm reading Norms and Nobility very slowly. It's a very hefty book. Don't ever let it be the first book that you read on classical education. It's amazing, but it's very hefty. And so if I need a snack during this time, I'll have a snack. The boys may do a snack. At this point, my girls have transitioned from chores, if they were doing chores, to either getting ready to go somewhere. Like on Monday, we have co-op classes for one of my daughters, or they are actually doing their schoolwork or sitting around procrastinating their schoolwork. One of those things. So and then we're going to be starting a Brave Writer class with my 15-year-old. So around this 11 o'clock period will be when we do Brave Writer together, when that starts at the end of the month. So about 11:30, the boys have probably been playing for about an hour freely at that point, hopefully outside. I may have walked around the house, picked up some stuff, prepped some food of some sort, may have scrolled on social media. That happens too. And sometimes I have a specific work assignment that I have to be getting done before the afternoon. So sometimes I'll be editing an On Mission magazine or something like that. And so then about 11:30, I get the boys their lunch ready. The girls usually fix their own lunch, and then it is 12 o'clock after they're finished eating. And so my boys either go back outside to play for quiet time, or they go to their room for quiet time. So quiet time is not quiet, even remotely. If they're playing inside and they're kind of being loud and I need some silence, I will go outside and sit in the swing. My girls are in the house, and my boys have strict rules about not harming each other while they're in quiet time. And they're sweet and don't want to hurt each other, except when they're beating each other up. But anyway, and sometimes they go outside for quiet time when it's good weather, and they just play for 2 more hours outside. So I usually straighten up from lunch. I move the clothes to the dryer at this point. I might prep something for supper, like if I thawed some meat out in the morning, I might throw it in the crock pot at this point, or something along those days. And then I do about 12:30 my midday renewal, which is marriage focused. So at that point, I say a prayer over my marriage. And then right now I'm reading Cherished by Gary Thomas for the second time, because everything by Gary Thomas is really good. It's really, really good. So that's just like a 10-minute thing. About 12:30, so this is kind of the new part of the day, is my husband is now finished with anything he wants to do. So he, our order shipping stuff takes about an hour to an hour and a half each day that he does it, sometimes less. And he'll come up to the house, he'll have lunch, we'll spend a little bit of time together. He has other things, like he's working on a truck, he's got a lot of different hobbies, he makes knives and all these kind of things, so he'll just be doing whatever. And then we'll spend a few minutes, and so I come down to the shop at 1 to work. And I always start with, like, and if you don't work at home, this part might not be interesting to you, but our mornings are very consistent because school obviously has to be consistent, and we have to get those things done first. School is my number one job, and it's our children's number one responsibilities. So that always comes first in our day, and we try to be very consistent about that. And that's the part of our day that's not flexible. Like, we don't have things invade the morning time. But the afternoons are crazy because our oldest daughter works a couple of days a week at Chick-fil-A. And one of my other daughter plays volleyball, and so she's off season right now, but she's about to start a camp. And the boys have a class that they do, and we have co-op, and just so afternoons are pretty crazy. The new thing in our life is now, instead of me driving everybody to all of the places 4 days a week in the afternoons and then coming home at 4, 5, or 6 o'clock and then trying to work for 3, 4, 5 hours and getting done at 10 or 11 o'clock at night with my work, and also needing to work on the weekend, that is now significantly different. And so I don't have to work on the weekend anymore. That is a praise God. Yesterday was my first Sunday off in years. It was my first Sunday off in years. And so, like, I'm so excited about that, I got distracted. Like, I don't even know what I was talking about anymore. And so now my husband does all of that hauling. He is now the Uber driver. So after I've done school with the kids, I can come down here and I can work from 1 to 6 and get a normal work week done throughout the week, which is just the best thing since sliced bread. And so he usually goes somewhere 4 or 5 out of 4 or 5 afternoons out of the week. There's always some appointments, dual enrollment classes, co-op classes, nature classes, tutoring, work, all those things. So he's doing that stuff. And then my work day is not super interesting. Like, I do emails and all those little kind of like pressing things for the first 30 minutes to an hour, depending upon what all's going on. And then I get into larger projects. So On Mission is always ongoing. Morning Virtues is always ongoing. History and Grace and Truth will be ongoing for the next 4 years. And Nature Volume 2 is releasing this year as well. So I hear somebody else talking about their teenage daughter on there. Yeah, I think it's normal. It's how they are. So whether it's normal or not, that's just what it is. And so, and then obviously he either takes the boys with him to take the girls to whatever they're doing, or maybe one of the girls babysits for an hour or two while he runs errands with the other girl. And then at 3:30, I do my third renewal of the day, and this one is actually work focused, and it's a little bit longer. So about 3:30, I have a pond right here beside my office. And my husband put a swing there for our anniversary last year. And so since we bought the house, this is like a permanent swing. I had a terrible swing for a long time. And it blew across the yard at least 14 times. I'm not kidding. Like, all the way across the yard before he put a permanent one up, because it finally died. The metal couldn't be bent back again. Anyway, and so that's where I go for that renewal, because that's my favorite place on the whole planet, is to sit in that swing and look at the pond and just be with God. And so I have a work-focused prayer during that time. and I usually either don't listen or read anything, or I may read the devotional from She Works His Way, or just a podcast episode of some sort. So about 4, I come back to work and I work for 2 more hours. And then dinner is a mixed bag. So dinner is probably the area of my life that's like needs to be most improved. I've recently gotten a meal plan from Roots and Boots. So, hold on, ignore a phone call. So the thing about me with meal planning is like I have all the knowledge about what is good and healthy whole foods. Like I've been gluten-free for 14 years. I've known about how food affects your body for that long. I have family members with multiple food allergies, and so there's not any information that I don't have. It's just literally the mental energy and time to like plan those things. And so Roots and Boots, she has a 6-week meal plan, and as I went through her thing, I realized they eat the food that we eat. Like, you ever find a meal plan and you're just like, we don't eat that? Like, nobody's going to eat that, or they're not going to eat like 80% of it. And so I have great recipe books, and I have a whole battery of recipes, but it's like having to figure out what day we're going to eat each thing, and what do I need to buy, and also what do I need to prep the weekend before in order to get it on the table, because I work till 6, and either I need to get it on the table or somebody else needs to get it on the table at 6. And so the Roots and Boots meal plan is actually something that, this is not an ad, I don't even know her, I'm not an affiliate or anything, but it like actually gives you all the prep at the beginning of the week, so I can do a grocery order, pick it up on Saturday mornings, and do my meal prep on Saturdays, and then me or my girls or my husband can put it together really quickly, and it's not a bunch of weird stuff. She does include breakfast and lunch. Sometimes I use a lunch recipe for a dinner recipe instead of for lunch, because our lunches are always like super simple, just random things or convenience foods. And breakfast is like a bar, so I'm not gonna ever cook breakfast, and I don't care that I'm just not going to. And so that has made, so far I've been using it for, I'm on the 3rd week, and we love all the recipes. So if you're looking for a meal plan that is whole foods, gluten-free, and paleo friendly, that you can adapt to keto, because my husband eats low carb, then this is it. And it's 6 weeks of it. It's like $35. She has videos for everything. I know already how to cook and make bone broth and all that stuff, so I haven't used those things. But if you are starting out like as a new whole foods kind of eater, then there's the education aspect of it too. So that's kind of our main hiccup right now, is getting a nutritious meal on the table for that everyone can and will eat consistently, so that it's not my girls rummaging for whatever they want and eating corn dogs and Applegate chicken nuggets, and me eating a big bowl of yogurt, and my husband will always cook something for him and the boys, but sometimes it's just hot dogs, like things like that. I'm trying to do away with all of that. And now that he's at home during the day and I have so much more margin, I feel like it's more feasible. Anyway, that was a side note. So my boys go to bed, we eat at 6. We are not, I was like, probably, I may lose followers, we don't sit down and eat together at night. I know everybody in the world says the meal plan, Wendy, is Roots and Boots. She's on Instagram, Roots and Boots, or you just Google Roots and Boots and her meal plan will come up. I love the idea of sitting down as a family and eating dinner at night. We've not been able to do it in years because of my work schedule. So it is a plan and a hope that a couple of nights a week we will now be able to sit down together as a family. We often eat lunch together without my husband, but it's just one of those things that, like, we're together all the time, and we tend to spend quality time with our children in smaller sections of them, not everybody all together. I don't know, there's 6 of us and everybody's loud and somebody's always in a bad mood, so even if everything's going really good, somebody is going to ruin it. I don't know if that is just my life, but that's how it is at our home. So family dinners have never been the most enjoyable thing for us, and so we've not prioritized them, but we are excited that now, with him working from home and helping me, that we can prioritize them, and maybe then they will be a little bit more pleasant and not a free-for-all. So after the boys go to bed at 7, Evening is super chill. It's not interesting. We watch television. Sometimes I'll be in a mood to read. Sometimes I'm reading a good book for morning virtues, and so I'll do everything that I can to like get back to my book and keep reading it. But most of the time, like, he watches a TV show or plays PlayStation, and my girls are on call with their friends and playing PlayStation with their friends, and just very busy. Teenagers at home at night just make everything very different. If you're not in that season, it's just like everybody, you know, they're doing their own thing, and the little ones are in bed, and you're exhausted from being with everybody all day, so we just all kind of fork off and do whatever we want. So that's pretty much it. That's it. It was a lot. I don't know how long this video is right now, so I'm going to stop real quick. But let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Like I said, this is literally just what we do. We don't claim for it to be perfect or the best. It is the best way for us. It's what works for our family. There are definite areas that we always hope to improve on. But as we've made this new transition today into this whole new thing, my husband keeps calling me. I'm gonna have to get off here and answer his phone call. Then we can, you know, hopefully have enough margin that we can continue to make the changes. But as it is, pretty content, pretty happy. We get everything done that we need to get done in a day most of the time. We have good intentions that we meet routinely, and we always give ourselves grace for the days that things don't go so well. So if you have any questions, I am happy to answer those. This will be saved to Facebook, it will be saved to Instagram, it will be downloaded, posted on YouTube, and then put into a blog post. And I have actually typed up the blog post already, so if you're going to want to see this like written down, then it will be there. And I actually have bedtime and bath time. Okay. My boys, now that they're 5 and 6, I open the shower door and they get into the shower, and then we check them, and they don't take a bath every day. Some people are like, I know some people are like bathe every day kind of people. They're not. So they take a shower like 2 or 3 times a week, I think. They don't smell too bad. Once they start having like stinky boy body odor, then they'll have to shower more often than that. And that's done randomly when somebody's like, they stink and they need a shower. Okay, let's go get in the shower. Or if they went outside and got dirty, I'll stick them in the shower, that kind of thing. And then bedtime routine, they're 5 and 6. At this point, we don't really have a bedtime routine. We just eat at 6, and then they're done, and they just hang out with us until it's 7, and then we're like, okay, let's go to bed. And one of us reads them a story sometimes, and then we sing and say prayers and they go to bed. It's a 5-minute situation. So I know some people have very detailed bedtime routines. And when my boys were younger, it was obviously a thing because you had to get them programmed and ready to go to bed. But now we just tell them to go to bed and they'll just go to bed. So I'm out of that season of having to wrangle a bunch of littles and bathe a bunch of babies at one time and get everybody into bed at one time. And honestly, now that I've been out of it for a couple of years, I remember it was hard, but I don't remember anything else about it. So you need to follow somebody that's in that season still, because it's all a blur because you're sleep deprived, and then you get out of it and you're like, I have no idea what I did. I lived through it. So that's what I can tell you. You'll live through it too. All right. Thank you, ladies. And I'll let you know when these videos are posted. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment or send us a DM. Thank you. Let's see.